and welcome to my first YouTube video for Canuck Tech Dad. Today I'm going to show you how to build a budget gaming PC for under $1,000. To start off, we're going to quickly run through the components I have purchased, and then as we finish that, I'm going to take you throughout the build of the PC. To get started, of course we need a case, and all these products were purchased from Canada Computers. The great thing about them is they have locations across the country, and they usually have the best prices on every component you should need. So to start off, we got the Corsair Carbide Series Spec Delta RGB case. Now, if you don't know what RGB is, RGB stands for red, green, and blue. So it's going to have some type of LED style RGB lighting in it. So what this case came with, it was on sale for $80. It comes with three 12-centimeter cooling fans at the front that have RGB lighting built into them. So this is going to give us a nice little glow out of the case, and I thought that was a great price for $80, since when you're buying a case for around that price range, they're usually empty without any cooling fans, and this just saved me from buying extra parts. So great deal here. Now, the most important part of your computer build, of course, the heart of it, the CPU. AMD right now with the ryzen CPUs have the best bang for the buck. Intel processors are great as well, but I find them overpriced. They had such a monopoly for quite a few years there in terms of processing ability, speed, and gaming capabilities. But now with AMD with the ryzen CPUs, you just can't beat them for value for performance. This here is an AMD Ryzen 7 2700X CPU. It has 8 cores, 16 threads, with a 4.1 gigahertz boost clock. It's an unlocked processor, so you're able to overclock it, and I'll show you how to do that later in the build. For the price, this was on sale for $250, which is a great deal for what you're getting, because honestly, this CPU will rival Intel's Core i9 in terms of performance and gaming capabilities. Next up, of course, you got to bring this to your motherboard. Now, all motherboards out there for the biggest brand names, they're all pretty good. I mean, Asus, I went with the Asus, but Gigabyte, MSI, ASRock are all great boards. What brought me to this board was, it's a tough gaming board with the X70 AMD chipset, which is the latest AMD chipset to run the latest AMD Ryzen processors. Because the previous gen chipsets are still good, like the X470, the B series, but honestly, you're going to get way more performance out of the latest AMD 570 chipset in terms of speed and ports. Now, this has previous gen PCI for your video card was 3.0. This has the latest PCI 4.0 port, which gives you double the speed and bandwidth compared to PCI 3.0. So I figured, why not get the latest PCI when I'm hoping to at least stay up to date for a few years on this one. And also it sports the latest M2 ports as well for devices like M2 SSD hard drives. And that gives you double speed of the previous gen M2 as well. And another thing that really sold me on this motherboard is it comes with dual bands, double gigabit Wi-Fi, which gives you the double the LAN speed through Wi-Fi. So if I ever need to take my case away from somewhere where I don't have a LAN cable or LAN accessibility, I can Wi-Fi it through the house, bring it to another room. I don't have to worry about plugging the LAN cable into it. And I don't have to buy an extra peripheral for Wi-Fi as well. So I figured, why not? Let's do that. This was on sale for $250 as well. Now for hard drive, as I was saying before, I went with the M2 style SSD hard drive. Now, a lot of people are still buying the SATA, SATA hard drives that sort of still look like little hard drives, but the speed on those, are inferior compared to the latest M2s. Now this M2 is a Western Digital 500 gigabyte Series 2 NVMe SSD. So this is going to give me 1700 megabytes per second on the speed transfer compared to if I bought an SATA SSD, you're only getting about 600 or so. So this is going to be at least double the speed of a regular SATA SSD. So I figured, why not? And plus, the great thing about these is you plug them right into your board without having to install anything else. So it's a nice, clean hard drive to install. So I figured, why not? And this was on sale as well for $75. Now, in terms of power supply, this here is a Gamdias Kratos Bronze M1 750 watt power supply. This was on sale for $70. The cool thing about this power supply is as well, this has RGB lighting, as it includes the fan has RGB lighting on the top. So I'm hoping I'm going to be able to install this upwards in the case so we can kind of flash the RGB throughout the case as well, which should be a nice effect for gaming. Also, this is only a bronze standard. Now you can buy power supplies that are gold standard, which are more efficient, a little more quiet. I wasn't too concerned about that. I was more concerned about the wattage, because in a budget PC build, you don't want to be paying $300 on a power supply when you can get one just as good that's probably going to last as long. That might be just a little bit noisier when the fan's running and it's running at full capacity. But I figured with this build, at the most I'm going to draw 600 watts, so I'm 150 watts over what I may need. So this won't be running at full capacity all the time anyways. So I went with that because that was such a great price. Now, video card, this was on sale for $230. It's an MSI Armor with a Radeon RX 570 graphics chipset. It's got 8 megabytes of RAM on it with 2 cooling fans, and for the price, you just couldn't beat it. I was checking for NVIDIA counterparts around the same price, and I could get nothing close to this price, especially for 8 gigabytes, as most NVIDIA cards, even for 4 gigabytes of RAM included on it, they were running at least $300. So I figured, you know what, why not pick up the AMD graphics and keep it with the AMD CPU, and let's keep everything together. And for the price, you just couldn't beat it. Now for RAM, lastly but not least, T-Force Delta DDR4 RGB RAM. So this is this is a 3000 megahertz RAM modules. I've got 2 by 8 gigabytes to give me a total of 16 gigabytes. And this is fully overclockable. And the cool thing about this one is this was on sale for $75. It's got RGB lighting built into the RAM at the very top. So it's going to complement the rest of the RGB stuff I got going on for the whole build. So I'm really excited to see how this is all going to look and work together. So anyways, that's running through the components real quickly. I'll bring you through the rest of the build, and we'll see how it goes. And hopefully this is going to help you build your next PC. Alright, so I've got all the components that we need to get together first out of the boxes. So here's our case, our computer case with both sides off. Now remember I was telling you about the RGB lighting. As you can see, there are 3 RGB fans at the front, which is going to look really cool because it's got like a tinted glass panel, curved panel at the front that it's going to glow through. Unfortunately, it didn't include an RGB rear exhaust fan, but I'll probably upgrade that later to an RGB just to go crazy with this thing. But I'm not going to do it now, as I just want to get this thing built. Now, the cool thing about this case too is it's got magnetic dust filters that you can clean off, so it's going to keep your case really clean. See how that kind of goes magnetic there. And thank goodness, I was hoping, because I noticed where you put the power supply in here at the bottom, I noticed I had the side window, and I was like, oh no, I'm going to have to notch it out at the top in order to see my RGB lighting power supply here. But this is graded, and inside the case, the very top, it's graded here too, so that's perfect. I was thinking I was going to have to get a Dremel and take this out, but since it's already graded for me, perfect. It's gonna shine right through for me. Now it's good that this case has got a lot of good cable management, as you can see, because everybody likes to have a nice clean build, so it's great. You can kind of use these in and outs here, and these are all the hookups for the case. And if this is your first time doing it, always, you know, if you need help, it's really straightforward. I mean, people get worried when they see all these wires, but honestly, you can't really mess this up unless, you know, as long as you look at the connectors, and it'll tell you exactly what they're for. And the instruction booklet that comes with your case will definitely tell you how to go about stuff. And every case will come with tie-down straps, all the hardware and screws that you need to install your motherboard. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, of course, is get the power supply and the motherboard into the case. Now, for the motherboard, as you can see, there's pins there. These are little risers. All you have to do is lay your motherboard perfectly on those, where you can see these screw holes line up, okay, on the side of your motherboard here, and that's pretty much it. Okay, and as long as you get all your ins and outs here lined up with that opening of the case, you're good. So let's get this started, and of course the power supply is just going to slide right into the back here, just like that. So let's get that done and we'll come back. Okay, so I've installed the motherboard into the case. As you can see, we've got 1, 2, 3 screws there that go against the board, or I mean the case, I should say. So 1, 2, and 3, and then in the center, pretty much, we got 1, 2, 3, and at the bottom, 1, 2, and I'm just going to move all these case cables out of the way, and there's 3. So I've got it in. I put the power supply in. Alright, so I'm back. I've got the motherboard installed as well as the power supply, along with all the cables from the case and pretty much all the fans with except the CPU and the CPU fan hooked up. So it's nice that this case can really make you tuck all the wires away. The only ones I have hanging here right now is the PCIe wires for the power for the video card to go in. So once I install that, I'm going to see how far I can tuck those away and back into the case. But all the headers are done for the in and out ports of the case, the power supplying the board, and all the cooling fans that are in the case. So everything's hooked up. It's starting to look pretty neat. So all we have to do now is start throwing in our CPU, hard drive, and of course video card. In regards to the Ryzen CPU, it comes with its own AMD fan, which is quite large. The great thing about this is here's the actual fan control power cord to go to the motherboard, and they also include an RGB cable, so you can control the RGB red, green, blue lights on the actual fan itself. So that's great. They included that in the box as well. And of course the CPU and a little sticker you can put outside your case to say you've got a Ryzen. Great thing about the fan too, it's already installed with thermal paste on the heatsink here. So pretty much when you mount that down, there's no need to put extra. It's already there for you, ready to go. Thank you AMD for doing that. That makes it really nice. And of course we'll install our RAM and video card, and my gosh, the cooling on this video card, this is going to be about half the size of the motherboard itself. It's quite the video card. But yeah, we're going to continue on with the build and get all this stuff put in. And when you're doing all the actual cable connections, don't be scared of what you're doing. The case manual and your motherboard manual here is going to tell you step by step what and where to hook up. Okay, and since I'm not putting any actual SATA hard drives in here, it's going to be a really easy, clean install. So pretty much take your time, don't be afraid, follow the instructions, and you shouldn't go wrong, because honestly it's almost foolproof. Okay, we're going to get the rest of this build together, and I'll be back in a few moments. Okay, back once again. We're just throwing in the CPU. Just a reminder, when you're on most AMD boards, when you're looking at your case this way, always look for the marking right here where you got the large gold little triangle. Make sure that's pointing to the top left of your case when you got it down like this. And all you do is you have to flip this up. When it was when the CPU wasn't in yet, you just lift it up, pop in your CPU, and then pull it down until it clicks like that. On this particular motherboard as well, since it's got the larger of the AMD family included fans, I think this comes with maybe Ryzen 5 and above, but it's definitely coming with the Ryzen 7 since it's here. Some of the, I guess the Ryzen 3 would actually go on top of these headers here, but since it's a Ryzen 7, generates more heat, it's a bigger fan. They're telling me I have to unscrew these mounts here, take these out. So 1, 2, and then 3, 4, take these out and install my fan with the 1, 2, 3, 4 screws here. Alright, so we're pretty much ready to install the video card now and RAM. I just wanted to show the CPU. She's all in there with the fan and heatsink. Also, this is the connector for the fan control and speed going to the motherboard. And this is the second wire coming off the fan. This is for RGB, for the red, green, blue LED lighting. And that's going right to an RGB header right here on the motherboard. Okay, so next we just have to do the RAM. I've got 2 slots, so on this particular motherboard, if you're only using 2, it tells you to put one here in the gray slot and your second in the gray slot. And then of course the motherboard, or sorry, the video card will go here. And I have to take out one of these spots on the case here, and then we'll be pretty much almost done. So back to the build again. We've got the RAM installed and the video card. This thing is a monster, and everything went well so far. When I first put the video card in, though, I was a little worried it wasn't going to clear the chipset of the board cooler here with the fan, but I just had enough room to get it in there, so thank goodness that worked out. Now last but not least, we just have to install the SSD hard drive, and this thing is tiny. It's about the size of my finger. It's incredible how small these things are now. And that will plug into the M2 slot right close to the CPU there. If you can see it, it's right there. So it's a matter of just taking it down there and plugging it in, if I can get it. There we go. I'm just trying to get the camera on there too. That's pretty much it. We're ready to go, and I just got to secure it down with a screw over here so it doesn't flimsy up like that. And that's it. We'll be ready to boot this up shortly. Alright, so we're back. As you can see, everything is buttoned up and put together. Very easy, of course, when you just got to put your case back together. It's just for 2 screws at the top, 2 at the bottom. As you can see, all the RGB lighting is running. So we got the power supply at the bottom, CPU fan, the RAM, and the 3 cooling fans at the front. Now, good trick, since I got no optical drives, when you buy your stuff, like the motherboard and all that, they give you drivers on CD. So if you have a second computer, good thing is to do on your second computer, whether it be a laptop or something, download all the drivers for your components, and that way you can throw them on a USB drive, and you can install them that way as soon as you start to load your Windows in. It'll just make it a little easier, because even with this board, since I didn't have a LAN port where this computer is at, I had to load in drivers for the Wi-Fi. You can see Asus included the Wi-Fi antenna since it's got Wi-Fi built in. So I had to get that running even to download more drivers anyway. So I figured, why not do it on a second computer, get them all ready, and then once Windows loaded in, I could load in the drivers for all the system components like the video card and of course the motherboard chipset and whatnot. So I'm very happy with the build. I think it looks great. In our next video, we're gonna see how it runs on a few games performance-wise, and we can check that out. And also, I just picked up a inexpensive RGB keyboard and mouse set. It was only $30. I know it's not the best, but just to get me going. And as you can see, for the price, it's still mechanical. And it's actually got really good feeling keys. So you know what? I would definitely recommend it if you don't want to go too high end. It seems to be okay, and I'm going to try it out on a few games as well. But anyways, please go easy on me. This is my first video. Please hit that like button, subscribe, as we'll be doing more videos in regards to tech, console gaming, and even kid-safe games for kids under 10. Because I'll have my kids reviewing a few games that they play, when it's a snowy day here in Canada, for something to do, if we're not skating and whatnot. Anyways, please hit the like button, subscribe, share, leave some comments. I know I probably made some errors in terms of references, but please go easy on me. This is my first video. Thanks so much for watching, and please subscribe. We'll have more fun coming your way.